We're learning what steps Toronto police are taking to address accountability and public trust in response to 7 officers being charged in Project South. Well, 2 people have been arrested after hundreds took to the lawn of Queen's Park today to protest cuts to financial assistance grants for students. And the price of gas is expected to go up again at midnight. This is Live at 5. Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5. 2 people were arrested at Queen's Park today. This was during a rally against the Ford government's decision to cut student assistance grants while lifting a freeze on tuition. For more on the demonstration, let's go live to CP24's Andrew Brennan. Andrew.
Hey, Bakari. As we are starting off the 5 o'clock hour, a decidedly much more peaceful end to this day, as it were, as the sun starts to set soon, than what we saw a couple of minutes ago, or actually now about an hour and a half. Where I'm standing right now, there was dozens, actually hundreds at its peak of students here. Also walkouts is being staged, we were told as well, across the GTA and beyond, and we did see some of that. But here at the epicenter of these demonstrating young people, their message was pretty clear, to the point where they have left it in stone, in graffiti on stone, on ironically the statue of the namesake for George Brown College. George Brown's statue out front of the legislature now has a decided message for the premier, which actually just rhymes with fire truck. You should be able to understand what word it is anyway. But there also has been, as you mentioned, 2 arrests. This did get in moments heated at times. We did also hear from people saying that they were aggressed, or in their mind brutalized by the police and the legislative response from security here. Now, we also had heard from the security itself inside that there had seemingly been an attempt to blast past through the barricade behind me and attempt to get through the doors. Now, we did not see that. As I was out here, I saw people 2 people that were being pushed, and one being taken to the ground, and it conceivably is one of the 2 arrests that are made. The other, according to a witness, was the person who instigated the graffitiing of the George Brown statue. What we were told by them is that there was a lot of people with a lot of things to say. By the way, of those 2 witnesses that we spoke to, Jonathan told me that even with what he saw as this descended into something more chaotic in the end, he needs his OSAP funding, and he will continue to be out here with other students fighting, in his mind, for affordable education. Now, among the people we've spoken to, they're saying that even with the new funding model of 25% and 75% being loans, and that 10% difference could make that much of a difference, they still say that the new system will leave them without an education.
I've heard that, he was cutting the OSAP grants, so I just wanted to come out here and just protest and, share my voice with all the other students, and hopefully we can reverse this process and, just help be able to go to school and afford, all our programs.
Now, when we are hearing from the government, particularly from the higher education minister, now Minister Quinn's office telling us as well later on today that, and this is a message they've said several times now, that the higher education funding model as it was could not work, that OSAP particularly needed to be looked at for its future viability. And that's why the loan and bursaries have essentially been flipped to what they are right now, or will be going forward if the government has its plan continuing. Now, that is what the government says. Here is more from the higher education minister.
Well, I think it's important to recognize the pressure that we had with OSAP. If we didn't change, there would be a significant pressure on OSAP. This August, it was $2.3 billion of pressure, which is unsustainable, growing to $4.1 billion in 28-29. So we had to act with urgency, recognizing that the Auditor General flagged this whenever the previous Liberal government made the changes, that it was unsustainable and the pressure was going to put on OSAP. And with the significant growth we have seen on OSAP since 2020, we recognize we had to act fast, because we need to ensure OSAP is available not just for the students of today, but the students of tomorrow as well.
And another thing that the minister's office was saying is that funding, as it stands, needed to be upgraded to be more in line with what other provinces are seeing, and that would essentially amount to more funding per student. Now, what some of the people here were putting on their signs, citing the Ontario College of Teachers, is the amount of funding per student in Ontario, roughly $12,000, versus other provinces, like even in Quebec, where it's approaching 20. I'll send it back to you.
From Queen's Park, CP24's Andrew Brennan. It's now 5:05. Let's get a check on the commute with CP24's traffic specialist, Adjoa and Tia Yabua.
Well, good afternoon, Bakari, and we continue to deal with quite the slow go on most of the major area highways and a lot of problems. I'll get right to them. We have issues happening on the southbound lanes of the 404. This is just on the approach to Finch. So now it's the HOV as well as the two left lanes that are blocked up following this collision. So coming southbound, really busy. The backlog does extend now from as far back as Steeles. Now, if you're on the northbound DVP 404, it is jammed right on off the Gardner, continues slow up to Bayview Bloor. This is the reason why collision on the go, still in the right lane, and it looks like they've completely blocked the on-ramp from Bayview Bloor onto the northbound DVP. That is the reason for the holdup. If you're on the 401, eastbound 401 in the express through the 410, 403, long-standing stall in the distance here, but the right lane of the highway is blocked. And checking in on problems which are still with us as well. This is the eastbound 403 right at King Road. As you make your way to Burlington, it's the left lane and shoulder that is occupied. A friendly reminder as well on city streets, crews on scene of a collision blocking lanes on Gerrard right at Parliament.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
Now I'll send it over to Samantha TC at the TTC Transit Control Center. Good afternoon, Samantha. Checking in if there are any issues on TTC that commuters should be aware of.
Thanks so much, Adjoa. So we are experiencing an issue on our streetcar network this afternoon. Our 506 Carleton service is being impacted in the western portion of the line because of a damaged tree that's at risk of falling near our High Park Loop. So as a precaution, we have suspended streetcar service between the High Park Loop and the intersection of College and Lansdowne in the area. Now, if you are traveling, though, we do have plenty of shuttle buses running to replace streetcar service in that area. Now, looking a little further west, the 37A Islington buses are detouring around the intersection of Bergamot and Rexdale because of a fire in the area. So buses are detouring both north and southbound around that intersection. Now, taking a quick look underground, things are moving quite well on our subway lines with no delays reported on lines 1, 2, and 4. And things are also shaping up quite well on the LRT lines this evening. Now, to stay up to date on the latest, make sure to check us out on ttc.ca, and I'll send it back to you in the newsroom, Bakari.
All right, Samantha TC joining us live from the TTC Transit Control Center. Well, the Crown has rested its case in the sexual assault trial of billionaire Frank Stronach. Cross-examination of the final complainant wrapped up today. The Crown then called an additional witness, a friend of that complainant. She testified that she had been told about the alleged rape in June of 2024 and that she drove the complainant to the police station a couple months later. The 93-year-old Stronach is facing 11 charges after prosecutors dropped 1 count of forcible confinement. They're also seeking to withdraw a count of sexual assault. Stronach has pleaded not guilty to all charges. And we heard from Toronto Police Chief Myron Demke today with an update on the response to the Project South corruption investigation. CP24's Beatrice Vaisman joins us live. Beatrice.
Bakari, it's very clear a lot of what we heard today from the chief, from other members of the Toronto Police Services Board, that a lot of actions are going to be taken in hopes of regaining public trust in light of Project South, that bombshell investigation, a corruption probe that was unveiled by York Regional Police last month involving 7 Toronto police officers and 1 retired Toronto police constable. The allegations were just simply jaw-dropping allegations, not only of corruption and bribery, but allegations of being connected to shootings and information provided to known criminals and gang members, along with a plot to kill a commander at the Toronto South Detention Centre. So in light of this investigation and the public trust which was shaken in the Toronto Police Service because of it, it's clear that 2 initiatives being put forward by the chief are really aimed at not only being more transparent, but putting safeguards in place to prevent this kind of alleged corruption from happening in the first place. These safeguards and the crackdown on corruption dealing specifically with access to police databases, who is able to access these databases and when, along with access access to evidence, and really substance abuse, an important component in these new initiatives, as well as anti-corruption project that the chief has put into place that starts later this month and will last a minimum of 2 years. The goal also to improve culture within the Toronto Police Service. So the chief stopped short of actually naming what changes need to be made when I asked him specifically what needs to change when it comes to the culture within the police service. He says that's one of the things this committee is going to be looking at. But we heard earlier from the chief and also from the Toronto Police Services Board Chair, Councillor Shelley Carroll, about what steps are going to be taken moving forward.
Today, the board is taking its own steps, the following governance steps. We're formally affirming our full support for the province-wide inspection by the Inspectorate of Policing and requesting that this inspection be accelerated where possible to meet the moment of public trust. Independent inspection strengthens public confidence and reinforces the integrity of the policing framework all across Ontario.
We know from the past that when we take actions to support our members with good governance, good supervision, good coaching and mentoring, we have different outcomes in their day-to-day work. And when we have supervision on the ground, assisting our members in succeeding and making sure there's good oversight, we have different kinds of results that happen as a result of that. It will continue to build on that kind of work going forward, and it will bring positive results.
And so the chief talking about boosting supervision and screening of officers, not only the moment when they're hired, but throughout their careers with the Toronto Police Service as well. Some changes already made. 4 new staff sergeants are now at 12 Division Bakari, where some of the officers embroiled in Project South were initially stationed, several new sergeants as well. And of course, as you heard from Councillor Shelley Carroll, she talks about the fact that the Inspector General as well of this province is conducting his own investigation into every single service in this province police service and how to tackle corruption within Bakari.
Okay, live from TPS headquarters, CP24's Beatrice Vaisman. It's 5:11, 7 degrees. This is Live at 5. And up ahead, a Coptic church priest from East Gwillimbury is charged in an historic sexual assault of a minor. We're going to speak with CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan about the investigation. That's next. A woman's been arrested in the alleged assault of a child with special needs in Vaughan. Police say 36-year-old Rosa Hassini works as an occupational therapy assistant and has multiple clients. The alleged incident happened February 24th. This was during a therapy session at the accuser's home. Investigators have released her photo because they're concerned more people could be impacted. Well, a Coptic church priest from East Gwillimbury has been charged in an historic sexual assault of a minor. The alleged crimes happened 2 occasions between 1996 and 1999. The alleged victim was under the age of 16. Well, last Thursday, York Regional Police officers arrested and charged 47-year-old Michelle Shafiq, who also goes by the name Michael, with sexual assault and sexual interference. And police are concerned there may be other victims. For a closer look at this, we're joined live in studio by CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan. Steve, that part right there, police are concerned there may be other victims.
Yeah, that happens sometimes when the police conduct an investigation, and depending on what's been disclosed to them, it causes them to suspect that there may be others. Again, now these are only allegations that have been made. This man has been charged, nonetheless, very serious allegations. And as a result, I would imagine, as to what information the police were given, they now believe that this guy could be responsible for other sexual assaults or other inappropriate behaviors. So they've gone through the, I wouldn't say unusual step, but it's not common for them to release photographs of people who are arrested. They are doing this today because they, again, are concerned that he may have assaulted other people. And given now that he, oh, by the way, he was not a Coptic priest when these allegations took place back in 1996 and 1999. He's since become a Coptic priest, and the police are concerned as well because given his position of authority, that could give him an opportunity to assault other people. This is why they've gone through the steps of showing his picture and, again, announcing the investigation and the allegations, the charges that were laid, sexual assault and sexual interference. We'll speak about what those charges mean at the other end of this clip, but let's hear what York Regional Police said earlier on.
We are highlighting the fact that he is now a priest as he's become a person that's in a position of authority. But at the time of these sexual assaults, he was not a priest. Again, we're talking more than 25 years ago now at this point. But it is something that we want to make sure the public is aware of and that the Coptic community is aware of, as we are concerned that there may be additional victims.
So sexual assault is very simple. You touch somebody, unwanted touching for a sexual purpose. Sexual interference is a sexual assault against a person under the age of 16, and this is why these two charges relate.
Okay, and with this investigation, the search for additional victims, what's your message to parents?
Yeah, so they won't search for other victims. They will just put that out there that they believe there may be other victims. They won't go looking for them. If, in fact, somebody does come forward, they will certainly actively investigate. But what police always say, if particularly a child makes a disclosure, especially in something with regards to a sexual assault allegation, police advise to take that information from the young person, perhaps note what they said, but avoid the temptation of trying to ask questions, because the more you probe, it could be looked upon as leading, and then that statement could be considered tainted when it gets down to a trial.
CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan, thanks a lot.
Got it.
Okay, right now it is 5:17, 7 degrees. This is Live at 5, and a big jump in the price at the pumps for drivers in the GTA. Analysts say another spike's on the way. We're going to tell you how much of a jump's being predicted next. Drivers are seeing a big jump in the price at the pumps all across the GTA today, and analysts say that another spike's on the way. CP24's Phil Perkins is live with those details as well as reactions. Okay, Phil, how much are we paying a liter right now?
So I'm at a Canadian Tire gas bar, that's what it's called, on Google Maps. It's in Etobicoke on the Queensway near Sherway Gardens, around $1.37, which is actually much cheaper than what I've seen elsewhere. I drove in from the east end. I saw out there a Coxwell and O'Connor on $1.43, so a bit of a deal here. If you go to, I think there's a Costco nearby, they normally have cheaper gas as well. But that is the price now. It actually is up 6 cents from overnight. That's something Andrew Brennan was talking about all yesterday. And Dan McTagg, who is on our show routinely, he's at Gas Price Wizard. He is predicting an increase in gas again tonight at 6 cents. And if you drive diesel, it's already up 13 cents from overnight. It's going to go up another 15 cents into Thursday. So if you are even half full, or half empty, depending on how your approach is on life. You might want to go to a gas station and fill up now, just trying to save you some money. And this is just one example of how we are all interconnected. Again, we are here on the Queensway paying these higher prices in gas due to what is happening a world away in the Middle East between Iran, the U.S., and Israel. Now, we are speaking with people, filling up, because they have to, they have no choice. This is what they had to say about the increased price and the impending increase in prices.
My commute is all the way to Peel, so it is already a lot. So, of course, if it's going up, it's going to be even crazier than what I'm paying now.
It's been low, and it's been very high, and I personally don't think anything higher than 6 cents, 7 cents, 8 cents more is anything we can handle.
That's the way it is, and nothing new. They do that all the time. They always find excuse. If it's not a war somewhere else, it's a problem here. They increase the taxes and stuff like this. So the way it is, we are, you understand what I mean? Always you got to pay extra.
And also, Abakari, there is an electric vehicle charging station here at the gas bar. And I asked everyone here, you know, with the increase in gas prices, it could continue to go up if the conflict continues in the Middle East. Would they consider getting an electric car? Everybody said no. So, send back to you.
All right, CP24's Phil Perkins. Well, Canada has secured limited seats on commercial flights out of Lebanon for those trying to flee the Middle East. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand did not say exactly how many seats, but did confirm that more than 103,000 Canadian citizens and permanent residents have registered with Global Affairs in the region. Right now, it is 5:22, holding at 7 degrees. This is Live at 5. Here's a live look outside College Park. This is where fans are lined up to watch Olympic athletes take part in a ball hockey event. We're going to take you there next. A pair of Olympic athletes are set to take part in an outdoor ball hockey event. This is happening in Toronto today. For the details, let's go live to CP24, CJ Liu at College Park. CJ.
Hey, Bakari, if you want to train like a pro, talk to a pro, College Park is a place to be right now. Planet Fitness and Hockey Canada are hosting this free event where kids can come here and play, but they also get to meet the top hockey players in the country. Just behind me here is Natalie Spooner, four-time Olympic medalist and world champion Emma Malte from the PWHL, won the Team Canada world champion, Olympic medalist is here as well. And take a look at the line to meet them. Natalie just got here maybe 10 minutes ago, and it has been bananas. People are showing up here in their Toronto Scepters jerseys, taking photos with Natalie and Emma. They'll be running people through their drills, but let me see if I can chat with them for 1 second here. Hi, Natalie and Emma. I know you have a huge line of fans waiting for you, but we wanted to chat with you quickly. How does it feel coming down here and within minutes you have hundreds of young fans?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's great to get out in the community. You know, everyone's getting out here having fun playing hockey, sign some autographs, take some pictures, and I think it's great. You see all these Scepters jerseys, which is awesome for our team, and you can just feel the support from the city.
Yeah, and how does it feel, I guess, being on the other side now, being the generation of women hockey players leading the way? I bet it wasn't like this when you were playing.
No, it wasn't at all, and it's awesome that we have the opportunity to get out in the community, like Spooner said, and like the popularity for the Scepters and the PWHL has grown so much, and it's so significant for our game, so it's really exciting.
And now that you guys have had some time to reflect on Italy, on Milan, what's your takeaway? What did you enjoy the most?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a great time in Milan. Obviously not the outcome we wanted, but we really did feel the support from Canada. I mean, Planet Fitness has supported us along this journey, and being the official gym of Hockey Canada, we felt their support from the whole community, from all of Canada. It really, coming back, has been amazing to hear everyone's stories, where they were watching the game, and just how proud they were of us.
And any quick words of advice for any young girls looking up to you guys and want to be where you are one day?
I think it's really important to be active in all sports. I think that's what's so great about this event in particular. It's a judgment-free zone. We're all out here having fun together, and I think that's what sport's all about.
Awesome. And I will say, Natalie, I loved your food reviews during the Milan Olympics. That was awesome, too. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Appreciate it, and have the best time today. We'll get out of the way so these fans can meet their heroes, but let's talk to a few of them and see what they want to say to Emma and Natalie. Hi, ladies. How are you doing? You're almost there to the front of the line. What would you like to say to Natalie and Emma when you see them?
Congratulations, and they did fantastic representing our country at the Olympics.
Yeah. What is it about these two that inspire you?
There's so much fun to watch on the ice. We watched their game yesterday against Montreal, and it was such an entertaining game.
They definitely put on a show every single time they get on the ice. Thank you so much, ladies. And you can get free advice from Natalie Spooner, Emma Malte, right here at College Park. They will be leading some drills, talking about recovery, reflecting on their time in Italy. It is free to attend this event hosted by Planet Fitness and Hockey Canada. They will be doing some outdoor ball hockey, and it's just perfect timing, especially with this weather. It's a great time. It's getting really busy down here, Bakari, so if anyone plans to come down here, they should get here soon to try and snag an autograph from these two superstars.
Okay, live from College Park, CP24, Jalou. It's 5:28, 7 degrees. This is Live at 5. And up next, we're learning what steps Toronto police are taking to address accountability and public trust in response to 7 officers being charged in Project Sal.
How are high school students going into university supposed to afford tuition fees like this?
Thousands of students took to Queen's Park today over OSAP and the Ford government's plan for post-secondary funding. More from the rally straight ahead.
It's like a chain, you know what I mean? Everything gonna goes up, and if they continue being like this, I'm gonna buy a bicycle and I'm gonna drive the bike.
Bad news for drivers as gas prices ticked up significantly today. Could another spike be on the way? We're going to tell you in moments. And with the NHL trade deadline just days away, the Leafs have scratched several players rumored to be on the way out. We're going to have those details in moments. This is Live at 5. Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5. And we heard from Toronto Police Chief Myron Dimke today with an update on the response to the Project South corruption investigation. CP24's Beatrice Vaisman continues our live coverage from TPS headquarters. Beatrice.
Bakari, good evening. This was the first Toronto Police Services Board meeting since that bombshell announcement by York Regional Police last month that embroiled 7 current Toronto police officers and 1 retired Toronto police constable into a corruption investigation. Very serious allegations, including things like bribery, several instances connected to shootings based on distributing information to known criminals and gang members about addresses across the GTA and beyond, and a murder plot as well against a manager at the Toronto South Detention Centre. So today we heard from Chief Myron Demkew some of the ways the Toronto Police Service is committing to transparency and to curbing corruption based on that investigation. It includes the expansion of the professional standards unit within the Toronto Police Service, including a brand new team that's going to be tasked with undertaking various investigations and protocols to help prevent corruption from even happening, essentially identifying problems before they turn into misconduct. Secondly, more supervision, screening of officers, higher screening of officers when they're hired and throughout their career, and also situations that the chief hopes will help improve the culture within the Toronto Police Service, though he wouldn't elaborate what kinds of cultural changes he believes need to happen when I asked him directly about it, Bakari. But it's quite clear that the chief and the Toronto Police Service and its command know that a lot of work has to be done when it comes to restoring public trust, because it's been broken because of Project South. And so when it comes to rebuilding that and regaining the faith of the people that, the sworn and civilian members are here to serve and protect, the chief says integrity, transparency will be at the center of this new anti-corruption project that he's undertaking. So here's a bit of what we heard from the chief and from Chief Superintendent Brett Nicol as well.
I'm also launching 2 projects, the anti-corruption project and the One TPS project. The anti-corruption project will strengthen oversight, accountability, and professional standards. And because we know that oversight and organizational changes only go so far if they aren't paired with a strong professional culture, we have to look at culture too. This is where the One TPS project comes in. Its goal will include looking at ways to strengthening our professional culture in a positive way.
As you know, like any other workplace, having shared values, a clear common purpose is essential. In policing, this matters even more because the work is difficult and often stressful, and our members represent the Toronto Police Service as an institution. Our more than 8,000 members already embrace values such as teamwork, professionalism, and dedication to duty. With the One TPS project, we want to better articulate and continue to develop our professional culture, always with the goal of strengthening trust both in and within our service.
Also, as part of this anti-corruption project, Bakari, is a look at procedures when it comes to how police officers access their public and police databases and how they have, access to that information when it's appropriate, when it's not, in the oversight of it, along with oversight of evidence as well. And of course, this comes as the Inspector General of this province is looking into every single police service across Ontario as this really tall task of combating corruption within police services across the province is underway, as is the court cases for all these officers embroiled in Project South. Bakari.
Live from TPS headquarters, CP24's Beatrice Vaisman. It's 5:35. Let's get a check on the commute with TP24's traffic specialist, Adjoa Insia-Yabois.
Yeah, Bakari, it continues to be a slow crawl home on most of the major area highways, and watching a big problem slowing down your drive if you're a commuter on the southbound lanes of the 404. This is on the approach to Finch. Ongoing collision blocking the HOV lane. You know what? They just reopened the 2 center lanes, so just a sign that this incident may be clearing. In the meantime, here's that delay. It does extend from as far back as the 407. So again, alternatives to get you by. You can make your way either towards Leslie or even Woodbine if you're looking to get through. Also, if you're headed towards the Gardner, it was busy on the eastbound Gardner as you make your way onto the Don Valley Parkway. It still is busy, and then opens up on the approach to Bayview Bloor. We were dealing with a collision blocking the right lane and the end of the on-ramp lane. Toronto Transportation moved the camera, so that situation did all clear. Still looking very busy on the 401 across the top of the city, but no new issues. And it looks like problems are still with us on the northbound lanes of the 400. This is just north of Highway 7 in the Express. Find the right lane and shoulder blocked following an ongoing collision. Outside of camera view, northbound on the 427, right at the 401, we're dealing with a stalled vehicle blocking the right lane. I'm going to send it over to Samantha TC now at the TTC Transit Control Center. Samantha, just checking in to see if there are any issues on TTC.
Thanks so much, Adjoa. So things are moving well for us underground on our subway lines with no delays reported, and also no delays on line 5 and 6. Now taking a quick look at our streetcar service, there is an issue impacting the 506 Carlton streetcars on the western portion of the line. So there is a damaged tree near the High Park Loop that is at risk of falling. So we have suspended streetcar service from the High Park Loop to the intersection of College and Lansdowne. Now, if you are traveling through that area, we do have shuttle buses that are running in place of streetcars, but make sure to leave yourself some extra time. Now, looking at our bus service, we did have an issue on the 37 Islington route in the area of Bergamount and Bergamount and Rexdale because of a fire investigation, but that has all cleared and regular service has resumed to the 37 Islington. Now, to stay up to date on the latest, make sure to check us out on the ttc.ca website, or you can follow TTC Notices on X. And with that, I'll send it back to you in the newsroom, Bakari.
All right, Samantha TC joining us live from the TTC Transit Control Center. Well, 2 people were arrested at Queen's Park today. This happened during a rally against the Ford government's decision to cut student assistance grants while lifting a freeze on tuition. For more on the demonstration, let's go live to CP24's Andrew Brennan. Andrew.
Yeah, Bakari, seeing a lot of people outside of Queen's Park today, and they were not happy with the changes coming to higher education. You talked about that tuition increase that's supposed to be about 2% per year based on what we're hearing on the the changes that the government says need to happen to make higher education funding viable for years to come. But the people that were here decidedly said that this is going to keep higher education, colleges, universities, and learning about what they need to have jobs for the future. In their mind, this change would make that out of reach. And we spoke to people trying to find the dollars and cents of this story. Hearing people saying that if you talk about having 25% be a repayable bursary and then 75% become a loan you have to pay back, and also looking at interest on that, they think that this is ultimately untenable for them. Now, where we are right now, I just want to show off very quickly, if we can. Well, actually, we're probably not going to be able to do that because we want to show what was left on this statue, ironically, of George Brown. But George Brown and his namesake, of course, one of the most affordable colleges in our city, ultimately defaced today with messages that were very clear, talking about don't touch my OSAP, don't touch higher education, and also talking about very choice words for the premier. They started with F and ended with fire truck, or rhymed with fire truck at least. We also happen to have a guy who really wants to get that on camera now. Unfortunately, the CRTC will really be upset with us, so we can't show his message at this time. All the same, it's pretty indicative why he's upset. Here's some of the people we've spoken to today.
No, I'm not able to afford school. School is really expensive. So that's where, OSAP will come in and just help us fund school. Because a lot of us, we're low income families. We don't have a lot of money. So just being able to have OSAP and just, cover some of the expenses for school, it really helps us out a lot.
We heard earlier from the higher education minister talking about why OSAP needs to be changed. This is what they're telling us.
Recognizing the importance of OSAP, I want to ensure OSAP is sustainable and it's here to stay. So I want to clarify to all the parents and students, OSAP is not going away. The changes that we have made are ensuring that OSAP is sustainable for today and for decades to come.
Now, in terms of what is sustainable, ultimately the messages left on this statue will be there for the time being, and a message for the Premier. They want their OSAP to not be touched as is, and this may be a reminder for him for the days and weeks to come of how serious they are about their message. I'll send it back to you.
Live from Queen's Park, CP24's Andrew Brennan. It's 5:41, 7 degrees. This is Live at 5, and up next, a familiar name's considering entering the race to be the city's next mayor. Michael Ford, Premier Doug Ford's nephew, says that he might run for Toronto mayor. The younger Ford telling CP24 that he is strongly considering entering the race. Ford stepped down as MPP for York Southwestern in 2024 and has also served as a Toronto City Councillor for Etobicoke North. A statement from him reads in part, quote, "Like many Torontonians, we see that crime, congestion, and skyrocketing property taxes are major issues that are top of mind for residents across our city. This will no doubt be a pivotal election. Public service has always been an integral part of my life, and it is for that reason that I am giving it some strong consideration." And a day after John Tory announced that he will not be running to be Toronto's mayor this October, a new poll from Abacus Data pitted declared candidate Brad Bradford against Mayor Olivia Chow if she decides to run again. The poll is showing a very close race. Abacus Data surveyed about 1,000 adults living in Toronto between January 22nd and 27th. They were asked who they would vote for in a two-horse race if the election was held tomorrow. 37% said Chow, 34% said Bradford, with a margin of error of plus or minus 3.1%. That's a statistical tie. 29% undecided. Well, Councillor Brad Bradford is the only candidate to officially declare that he's going to be seeking the city's top job. He talked to us about what Tory's decision means for his chances of becoming mayor.
I never think about City Hall as left or right issues. I think about it from terms of practical solutions and quality of life. And in my journey across the city right now, I am always amazed at how consistent the feedback is from people, which is that we're all in on Toronto. We want Toronto to be an incredible city, but it's falling short on the basics. And people tell me all the time the city has never been less affordable. It's never been more difficult to get around. And it's never felt less safe. And that's why I keep going back to those 3 C's of addressing crime, congestion, cost of living.
David Valentin, principal at Liaison Strategy, spoke to CP24 about whether Chow will run again.
I think she's taken a number of steps, including the budget, right? And, you know, the conversation around the budget was, is this an election budget? Are we only seeing this very small property tax increase because it's an election year? Yes. And I think she probably wanted to keep some of that out of the conversation. But also, she's the incumbent. She doesn't have to say she's running again. People will just naturally assume it's so. And she's, you know, in the news every day. So for her, there's no real disadvantage to not doing it.
Election day is October 26th. Well, Mayor Olivia Chow wants the city to look at paying residents to help dig the city out after major snowstorms. The idea comes from New York City. This is where emergency snow shovelers were paid up to $30 an hour to help clear bus stops, crosswalks, and fire hydrants after a recent storm. In a letter to the city's executive committee, Chow says that during significant snowfalls, the city has encountered issues with sidewalk plows. She's asking city staff to design a surge capacity shoveling program for implementation as soon as possible and no later than next winter. Well, community activists are appealing for more funding to tackle what they say is a growing crisis for those living with developmental issues. Community Living Ontario says that many people with intellectual disabilities have a hard time finding a permanent place to live in Sudbury, which is leaving many homeless and living in encampments. It's an issue that the group says is happening all over the province.
They described people being manipulated into criminal activity, being coerced into exchanging sexual favors for shelter, being targeted because of their intellectual disabilities and their desire to belong. We heard from Nathan, a person who is homeless in Sudbury. He shared, quote, "I am not lazy. I work, but even with my job and my ODSP pension, I'm struggling to get enough money to pay for first and last month's rent for any apartment," end quote. What is happening in Sudbury is deeply concerning, but it is not unique.
In Simcoe Region, 5 women with intellectual disabilities were rescued from an encampment last fall. All 5 had been subject to human trafficking. I went up to a conference in Thunder Bay and I heard similar stories. We always think that this couldn't happen to me. But I'm here to tell you that I was once homeless for a year and a half. I didn't have to live on the streets, but for close to 18 months, I didn't have a home.
Community Living says that more than 53,000 Ontarians are on wait lists for critical supports. It's 5:48, 7 degrees. This is Live at 5. And coming up, as the Leafs gear up for Friday's trade deadline, they're scratching multiple players for the subject of trade rumors. And the Leafs are going to try and snap their 4-game losing streak tonight on the road against the Devils.
Nice again, Tavares. Nylander, he scores!
The Leafs have dropped all 4 games since returning from the Olympic break, and they're 9 points out of a playoff spot. New Jersey enters tonight on a 2-game winning streak. Puck drop is at 7 o'clock. Well, as the Leafs gear up for Friday's trade deadline, they're scratching multiple players who are the subject of trade rumors. Bobby McMahon, Scott Laughton, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson will not dress for tonight's game. The team sits 9 points behind the Bruins for the second wild card spot. Right now, we're joined live by John Viveros, host of Hot Take Hockey podcast. Okay, JV, we have to talk about this. Scratching McMahon, Laughton, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Is this a sign of more to come?
For sure, Bakari. Thanks. Yeah, I think this is probably in short, you could say this is probably the beginning of a wave for the Leafs over the next 48 hours, or I guess less. At this point, the trade deadline is 3 p.m. Eastern time Friday. So I think when you're beginning to have those conversations, Brad Treliving is feeling out the market. You're looking at, as you mentioned, McMahon, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and Laughton as key pieces going into the deadline. The reasoning for that, well, Laughton and McMahon will be free agents this summer. So the decision making for the Leafs is you either re-sign those guys or you trade them and get assets. I think for Leaf fans and anybody around this market going into this year, you did not expect the Leafs to be in this position, but it's been that. Coming out of the Olympic break, as you mentioned, 4 straight losses. And I mean, they gave themselves a chance going into the Olympic break with 3 straight wins. But since then, it's been downfall again. So when you're Brad Treliving going into these last couple days leading into the deadline, you've got to look at all options. So I don't think it's just those 3. I think those 3 probably bring the most value, or at least some of the most value. I think a guy like Nicholas Waugh, a right shot center, is probably another guy in that equation. But you've got to play somebody tonight for the game against the Devils, Bakari. So I think for those 3 guys, they're playing the safe side. Ekman-Larsson's got a couple more years after this year on contract, and it's a reasonable contract. So the Leafs are trying to cash in on the value across the board.
All right, leading up to the deadline, what do you see happening?
So I predicted there's going to be at least 4 players out the door, and I think we're leaning towards that right now. For them to scratch these 3 players, and they're obviously key players on this team, I think there's the assumption at least 2 of them will be dealt. And then beyond that, it's probably going to be based on the market. As we're talking right now, Bakari, there's been 4 defensemen, potentially 4 defensemen traded today in the National Hockey League, and big defensemen. So for guys like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Simone Benoit, Jake McCabe, Troy Stetcher, defensemen on the Toronto Maple Leafs, teams are going to be calling because it's kind of a domino effect right now for the defense market. And then in the forward group, you're not going to see guys like Austin Matthews or William Nylander traded unless something crazy happens in the next 24 hours or something is said. But beyond that, there's a lot of depth guys, as I mentioned, that could be dealt. So I would say, Bakari, at least 4 players going out the door in Toronto. So it should be a busy last couple days here for Brad Treliving leading into the deadline.
Okay, and as we wrap up, what do you see happening against the Devils tonight?
You know what, Bakari? It's always weird. When the Leafs are expected to do the least, they somehow come out with a win. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with a win and some guys actually showcase their value even more. As I mentioned, there are guys that are going to be in the lineup tonight that are in those trade rumors, in those trade conversations. So it's an opportunity tonight for a guy like Nicholas Waugh or Steven Lorentz, or even on the deeper side, Matthias Michelli, who they just brought in last offseason, to really showcase themselves tonight. So I think the Devils, with the regulation win, they can jump the Leafs, but they're really out of a playoff spot. And of course, the Leafs are playing against their former head coach, Sheldon Keefe. So I think it's going to be another close one like the Flyers game. But I think the Leafs players that are on that conversation should showcase well.
All right, John Viveros, host of Hot Take Hockey. Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bakari.
And the CN Tower is going to be lit in rainbow colors tonight to celebrate the Hindu holiday of Holi. Known as the Festival of Colors, Holi marks the end of winter and the start of spring, symbolizing the victory of good over evil. Hindus also see it as a time to heal relationships and end conflicts from the past. People smear each other with colored powders and drench each other with water and share sweets to mark the occasion. An air quality warning is in effect for Toronto and parts of the GTHA due to possible high levels of air pollution. Environment Canada issuing the yellow warning today, advising people to limit time outdoors. Due to the conditions, some may experience eye, nose, and throat irritation, headaches, and a mild cough. Other parts of the Greater Horseshoe, including Hamilton, Peel Region, and Halton Region, are under the same air quality warning. The federal agency says that conditions will improve early Thursday morning. Okay, right now it is 5:58, 7 degrees. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24. And we leave you with a live look outside of College Park. This is where fans are getting ready to watch Olympic athletes take part in a ball hockey event. CP24 CJ Liu is there and will provide continuing coverage for us throughout the rest of the night. Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.